and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for the final elimination race, race number 12 of Season 61 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Here under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, 66 laps, and we will determine the other 3 drivers that will participate in this season's Final Four. If you didn't tune in last week to Talladega, Chuck McClure is already locked into the Final Four. We got to find out who's going to be joining him for that championship trophy in the upcoming 2 races of the final round. Getting the command to fire up the engines, I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, a lot of pressure here this evening for those remaining 7 drivers that have not yet locked their ticket into that final round. But as we bring up the point standings here, you take a look and see the fact that Joe DeSpirito, Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Schilling, Rodney Sullins, they're in the hunt. Couple of drivers, they got to rely on some maybe top 5s here tonight, maybe even a victory. Grant Wesley, Kelly Causey, Bob Seminara, they did not get the runs they were looking for last week.
No, not at all. And like you said, they've got to get their top 5s in. They got to stay up there. They got to get a maximum point stay, and honestly, just finish good and hope that their opponents that are high up in the points have a really bad day today. I mean, it's always a danger when Grant Wesley gets the pole, because there ain't nowhere to go but back, and then there's nowhere to go but forward. But we all know how Grant can hold it up in the front there, and pretty much, I don't want to say block 3 lanes of traffic, but he can block a lot of lanes of traffic staying up at the front.
It's going to be interesting to see as well. The last time we were here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway 2 weeks ago, Kelly Causey was in a must-win situation to advance into the round of 8, and he was able to do it. You saw some of those names down there at the bottom of the list. They're not necessarily in must-win situations. They mathematically could point their way up into the top 4, but if they run into problems here tonight, it could be very much so a must-win situation. Grant Wesley, you talked about him being on the pole position, one of those drivers that didn't have the best of runs last week at Talladega, so by virtue of the random qualifying draw, he'll be leading us to green. Wiley Coe will be alongside of him on that front row. Bob Dixon, Bobby Farrell, we'll be talking about him in a little bit. They're in row 2, Richard Martin and Brian Ross in row 3. Chuck McClure, who knows he's locked into the Final Four. He's in row 4 with Mark Paglia, Kelly Causey, and Terry Bombard. Going to be the completion of the top 10. Brian Schilling, Bernie Mobbs back in row 6. Jeremy Jeffries and Ulysses Sandoval in row 7. Row 8 finds Rodney Sullins and Ken Roberts. Row 9, Cy Jones, Tim Nofsker. And completing the top 20, Joe DeSpirito and Josh Metallic. Then it'll be Bob Seminara, Glenn Harris, John Godfrey, Jason Sheck, Robbie Nices, Jeff Crivello, the remainder of our 26-car field here tonight. I think maybe the smallest field we've had so far here this season. We talk about most weeks, a lot of points on the table here. Tonight, not nearly as many as there have been in the past races this season. As here we go, green flags in the air. Let's find out who the remaining 3 drivers will be to advance into the Final Four.
That's my soul, and oh boy, there they go.
And Grant Wesley immediately jumps up there to the outside line with Wiley Coe. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago here, Michael, we've seen in the past the inside line seems to be the preferred lane at this racetrack, while the middle lane is the preferred lane at Talladega. The last time we were here, it was that middle line that was really the preferred lane.
And you see that's where Grant Wesley's at right now. But Seth, how many cars did you say were in here?
26.
No, 28 took the green flag. And 2 of them didn't, 54 and 36.
Okay.
So there's 28 cars on the racetrack right now.
So who did I miss on the lineup? I think I missed John Van Gorder and Graham McDonald. So that is my error. My apologies on that. Graham McDonald actually making his first start on the season. We've seen him before in the past here on the Flatout Racing Network, as he was in the Talladega Nights Shake and Bake series.
Robbie Nices and somebody else. Who was that other car? The 36. So Robbie, excuse me, was my freaking voice is going out for some reason. It's because this guy up here made me laugh too hard. So Jeff Crivello and Robbie Nices have not took the green flag.
So we would have had 30 drivers that would have taken the green, but we've also got small field visually here. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Right there at the rear of the field, John Van Gorder in the 19, Graham McDonald in the 33. Looks like Tom Dixon's losing the draft. But you look at this here, and you almost feel like some drivers, like a pack of drivers, lost the tail end of the field, but that's actually not the case. How about Bob Dixon? How about the petty cars there on the bottom, the 143 and the 43 of Dixon and Martin working together?
Well, if you weren't going to mention it, I definitely was. I was going to say, because both the petty cars feel like they should be an incredible inverse of each other. Like the red STP car, the Dodge right there, 143, he should be, the STP logo itself should be petty blue, in my opinion. But still great car nonetheless. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see that. As you see the middle lane though, Seth, getting the better runs off the corner here, as look who's in second place now.
Wiley Coat there in that number 5.
We've seen him about it.
We've seen him the last couple of weeks. He's been really strong in the early going. Has put together some good runs. He was one of the drivers that was just outside of the playoffs and could have advanced his way in points-wise, but wasn't able to get quite enough points in that regular season finale. He's 18th in overall points coming to this one. And Bobby Farrell there, another petty type car, that petty blue number 92. Bobby Farrell has a lot to race for here tonight because this is the, well, it would be the third to last race of the bracket series. It is the finals of the loser side of the bracket here tonight. Bobby Farrell taking on Rodney Sullins, the highest finisher tonight. They'll move on to face off against Jeremy Jeffries in the finals of the tournament. The winner of the loser side of the bracket taking on the winner of the winner's side of the bracket. And right now, Farrell has the upper hand on Rodney Sullins. Rodney's up on that outside line. I believe he's the 5th car on the outside line. Last time by was scored in 12th, while Farrell crossed the line in 3rd. Another notable driver not in the field was attempting to get into the race here tonight was Donnie Garrett. Was dealing with some issues. It looks like they were not resolved. So unfortunately, he was not able to take the green flag in this one. Well, Grant Wesley came into this race, as we saw with the point standings there, 12 points behind the cut line, 4th in the standings, which currently is held by Brian Schilling. Not necessarily a must-win situation, but Michael, we've seen in the past, when the pressure is on for driver 88, it seems like that is when he is at his best. And granted, he was able to get the pole position with the random qualifying draw, but at the same time, you know, when Lady Luck smiles on you, you gotta make the most of it. He faded back after having the top position, fought his way back up in that middle line, and now he and Wiley Coat have jumped down to the bottom, and Grant is the proverbial Dale Jr. right now, the Pied Piper of the field.
Yep, absolutely, and you know how it goes. It's just like we said. Once Grant gets up there, he doesn't really look back.
Looks like we've had an unscheduled pit stop here in the first 7 laps. JT Mayhew in the 338. He's come to pit road. You see him just up ahead here of the race leaders. So not certain what the reasoning was for that pit stop. He is already 1 lap down, and if they bypass him here, which they certainly will, he'll fall 2 laps down to the race leaders. We're going to bring up the point standings graphic once again here and take a look around that cut line. Jeremy Jeffries +1 on Brian Schilling. Schilling right now the cut line driver, 3 points up on Rodney Sullins. The reason why I bring this up is you look back at Brian Schilling last week. Schilling was committed to pushing Chuck McClure to the checkered flag, ended up finishing in the 2nd spot. The difference now is he is the driver everybody is gunning for in terms of that final spot in the Final Four, as Terry Bombard disappearing there. I mean, you consider the fact that if he had been able to go for the victory last week and get that checkered flag himself, then he'd already be locked into the Final Four rather than in this precarious position. So it will be interesting to see here if Brian Schilling isn't able to advance into the Final Four, if he kind of retrospect looks back at last week and what could have been an opportunity to go for yet another championship.
Yep, absolutely. 3rd lane forming up in the very high side there, Seth.
It's Rodney Sullins up there in the Black Rifle Coffee 38. I'm not sure if Wiley Cote is searching to make a move on Grant Wesley or if he just can't hold the bottom, because he is shaded about a half lane up these last couple of times on corner exit. Now the middle lane starting to formulate up. Richard Martin's jumped up there in front of the 28 of Mark Paglia and the 10 of Terry Bombard.
There's only about 3 cars in that middle lane, and one
Yep.
of them is blinking, so...
And Bernie
We'll see how
Mobbs is
long
now
it takes.
the leader of that third line.
See how long it takes for that third lane to get up towards the front here.
A couple of drivers that did not benefit all that much from the qualifying draw. Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara, a couple of our playoff contenders. Quite a ways back there, still kind of running towards the rear of the field. Seminara's jumped up to the third lane. DeSpirito's currently on the bottom. No, actually, I'm sorry. Seminara's down the bottom as well. Ooh, we had some movement back there. Jason Scheck and Brian Rawson. I don't know if there was a checkup or what, but whatever it was, they kept it going. We're good. Joe DeSpirito, of course, our regular season champion. Rode that streak through the entire regular season of top 5 finishes. I believe it was race 10 where that streak came to a close. 8 points above the cut line coming into this one, but he's currently running the highest he's been all night. 13th place after he rolled off the grid from 20th. Whoa, car on the apron, and we got one around. That's DeSpirito, around on the apron. Caution's going to wave. I think he saved it, and I don't think anybody hit him.
He spun, and it was definitely very, very close.
There was a checkup or something ahead. I believe I saw the 96 of Ulysses Sandoval down on the apron, and I think the 24 checked up in reaction to that. But I don't think anybody hit him. He spun on that banking, the transition of the turn and the apron. Went down to the infield grass, and I believe there is no damage on that number 24, so he dodged a bullet right there. As leading him back to the caution was Grant Wesley, first yellow flag of the night. And boy, imagine if DeSpirito had been hit or gone back up into the outside wall. That would have put him in quite a situation after winning the regular season championship and trying to advance into the Final Four for a shot at yet another championship in his Talladega Challenge career. Let's go back and take a look at what happened here.
Oh, let's see.
Watch up ahead here.
It was a little bit of a check up there by, I can't tell exactly who that was. I think you were right. It was Ulysses Sandoval.
Bob Seminara was right behind the 96. Glenn Harris was behind the 712. DeSpirito was the 4th car in line. And nice job by Graham McDonald being able to get down to the apron to avoid. We'll take another look further up at where the checkup took place. Looks like Ulysses Sandoval was behind the 143 of Bob Dixon. He was battling for the 5th position with Jeremy Jeffries, and right there, I'll have to look from our helicopter cam, but I almost wonder if maybe a little bumper grab came into place right there. Ulysses was able to hang on to it, though. Not all that easy to do when you're running down on the apron at over 190 miles per hour. That car wants to push back up the track into traffic. Here's the helicopter cam. Let's see just exactly if there was maybe some bumper grab there. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The 96 got into the back of the 143. That's one of the facets of super speedway racing, is the checkup, especially the checkup into the corner, because some drivers like to give that half car length to the driver up ahead of them to avoid running into the back of them, and other drivers, they like to give sometimes a full car length, and with all that differing of opinion, it's usually where you see the contact made, but we got lucky on this one. Only a single car spin for Joe DeSpirito. He'll lose
Yep.
track position, but at least his car is still in one piece.
That could have been big.
Brian Schilling staying out here, leading a lap.
That time, Seth.
Generic red soda cracked open.
Nope, that's not what it is.
It's not.
Nope. It's the sponsor of somebody just outside the top 10. Actually, I think he's inside the top 10 and just hasn't updated yet.
Just inside the top 10.
Seven.
Oh,
I think
so
he's
that would
seven.
be... Okay, so that's generic green soda.
No. 7.
Oh, I see. I see. So generic silver
7.
soda.
Yep.
Gotcha. Meanwhile, I'm over here with my Poland Spring water.
Not sponsored.
So, interesting scenario here. You got Brian Schilling staying out, leading a lap for that valuable bonus point. Now Bob Seminara is going to do the same thing. A driver that came into this race below the cut line.
I was going to say, no one... Oh, the 338's 2 laps down. Oh, because he did... that
unscheduled pit stop.
Yeah,
So, he will be the lucky dog. He'll get one of them back.
Yep, and so these cars should see them coming down this time.
All right, so I wasn't planning this kind of a segue in this fashion, but with him out in front, you know how we've ended up having a bunch of different drivers with different nicknames in this series? Richard Martin, we call him D-Mar.
Oh, Lord, I know where you're going with this.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. You know, Donnie Garrett, we call him the Nature Boy. Well, I took part in a Talladega Nights team race last Saturday night. It was broadcasted by Blaine Donlin, Rod Weston over there on Tarnation TV. And during driver intros, found out Bob Seminara has a nickname. Apparently, he introduced himself as Bobby Biscuit Seminara. So I let that one sink in.
Now every time you think about biscuits, you have to think about him.
Every time that I see something happen to Bob, I'm going to have to try and think of a biscuit-related pun. Do you ever have a nickname?
I did, but it's one that I don't want to share on TV because it was an old middle school nickname that carried over to my high school time. That it was meant as a joke at first, but somehow stuck.
Ah. I kind of wish that your nickname was like Storm.
I mean,
then you could be Storm and Norman.
Ironic enough, that was my nickname for my gym teacher in high school.
Oh. You're not gonna probably understand why I was given the nickname I was given.
What nickname was that?
Apparently, I was Twiggy.
Oh, well, that's ironic because that name in middle school, it was just almost like that, except I was called Tippy.
Tippy? Yep. Tippy and Twiggy. We should start a band. Like a 70s long hair band, Tippy and Twiggy.
We should start a podcast.
A podcast? Tippy and Twiggy. Yes! What do we talk about? What's the podcast about?
Well, Seth, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, man.
You set yourself up for that one.
I did. I definitely did. All right, so we've got everybody all squared away in terms of their strategy here under this first caution period. And Grant Wesley re-inherits the lead.
Yep. Guess he can't claim his fame like Jeff Burton did when leading all the laps at New Hampshire that one time.
True. I don't think that's ever happened in a Tally Challenge race where a driver has led all 66 laps.
Dale Jr. did it. Not in
Dale Jr. was in the Tally Challenge?
That's not what I meant. You didn't let me finish. I meant at a super speedway, Dale Jr. once led every lap of the race at Daytona. Even through pit stops, surprisingly enough.
Wow.
2003 Daytona night race.
That almost seems like it goes against everything we know of super speedway racing.
Well, it was the Xfinity race that year, known as the Busch race, and he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack because he could hold it full throttle. So
nobody ended up staying out like an extra lap when he pit to lead?
Because all the pit stops were not under yellow.
Oh, there was never a green flag pit stop? Okay.
I think it was always green flag pit stops. But he just somehow was able to lead. I gotta watch the race again in order to actually see.
Well, Grant Wesley is looking for his 4th career championship. He ended up getting his first 3 in the span of 4 seasons. But it's been a couple of seasons since his last championship, and he'd like to advance into the Final Four for a chance at a 4th championship trophy here in this series. 12 points below the cut line coming into this race. He's led 11 of the completed 14, make that now 15 laps. And he gets us back under green with Wiley Coate, Bobby Farrell, Jeremy Jeffries, and Rodney Sullins, the top 5. Remember, Farrell and Sullins.
Darrell Waltrip getting a big lead going down the backstretch here at Talladega.
And remember, Sullins and Farrell, they're battling for that bracket challenge. They're side by side. Well, we're side by side there. Sullins now going to edge ahead. Right behind Sullins, it's Kelly Causey. Talk about nicknames. Buckshot currently battling for the 3rd spot with Bobby Farrell. And remember, 2 weeks ago, this was the venue where Kelly Causey, in a must-win situation, got the checkered flag to advance into the round of 8. Could lightning strike twice? Back-to-back victories here to advance him into what I think would be his very first Final Four appearance. Also with Kelly right up there inside of the top 5, want to remind everybody, tune in on Saturday, April 13th to Tarnation TV, the 2024 Team Elmo 200 benefiting ALS.
I'm laughing at the Elmo part, not the ALS part. I'm laughing at Elmo. I didn't expect you to say Team Elmo, honestly. And I'm only laughing because of the video.
Because of the video from earlier. I know it's exactly what you're thinking.
Okay, for those who don't know the context, me and Seth are avid wrestling fans. And not too long ago on an episode of SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, there was a promo segment between Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and The Rock. Well, somebody decided to take that promo and replace it with Muppet voices.
Yep.
And one of them was Elmo. It was The Rock.
Cody Rhodes was Kermit, Seth Rollins was Miss Piggy, The Rock was Elmo, and Roman Reigns was Cookie Monster.
And it was
Whoa! How about this?
Change battle for the lead here.
Nice little crossover there to the inside for Rodney Sullins.
It was one of the most hilarious videos I've ever seen. And I don't regretfully made Seth watch it.
Best one was Roman Reigns as Cookie Monster.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So tune in April 13th. April.
April.
April. Oh, look at the two-car tandem kind of pull away a little bit.
Oh no! Oh, big hit, Rodney. Oh man. Richard Martin and the big one. Oh my lord.
Bless my soul. There he goes, a barrel roll.
You were just waiting for that. And that barrel roll was John Van Gorder in the 19. There's Chuck McClure right in the middle of that. Boy, I'll bet he's glad he got that victory last week. Ken Roberts, Bobby Farrell, Bob Dixon, Jason Scheck.
Very kind of surprised that he wasn't able to hold that up there. When he hit the wall like that, he should have just turned his wheel to the wall and tried to hold it up there, honestly.
Well, that thing took quite an angle. I'm not certain he had a chance of keeping that thing up there. That thing just kind of propelled off the wall with the angle it went up. And that, I think, if we look back at it, I think that was a late move down. You talked about that tandem of Rodney Sullins and Kelly Causey.
He got bumped by the one.
Well, I was going to say, though, I think that he had to check up, though, because Sullins and Causey, when they were tandeming together, they were getting reeled in by the pack. They came down in front of Demar, and Demar had to lift to let them in. Otherwise, he was spinning around the 00. We'll see here on the replay if I'm right. That's just what I saw from an initial reaction.
198, 198. Yep, right there, 197, 196, and then that's when he got hit. And he hit the wall at about 184 miles an hour. And yeah, like you said, he probably just he couldn't even turn the wheel up even if he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, see right there, he had a run. He was almost practically to the inside of the 00.
Both of the Richard Petty cars went for a flip.
They did.
We need to stop talking about it because we talked about them.
The commentator's curse. You can't avoid it. I think Glenn Harris in the 8 actually went over as well. We had about 4 or 5 cars that got upside down.
And I think the 7 just stopped in the very back. He was just like, I'm just going to let this play out.
Hey, worked for Dale Jr. in that one Daytona race.
That's true. Well, I want to ride on board on my screen with the 7. I just want to see if he literally just comes to a stop. Ty Jones, he's in the very back of this pack. Like, he's the last car in this pack.
Bobby Farrell, Tim Knopfsker, Graham McDonald in his first start in this. Ulysses Sandoval, Brian Rawson.
Yeah,
John Godfrey.
Ty Jones legit just came to a stop. The 31 did too as well.
I was going to say, I thought Bernie Mob's back there. I thought I saw him also.
Surprised he was able to gather enough speed to climb up the banking without it kind of like falling down a little bit.
John Van Gorder had made his way up to 11th and was cracking the top 10 right here.
That was a lot of cars involved in that one, Seth.
Van Gorder actually, he grip flipped. He got clipped there at the end of that wreck, and then as it was sliding sideways, the 19 Van Gorder, it just started grip flipping him there. Graham McDonald went up and into the catch fence. Tim Knopfsker in the 088 had absolutely nowhere to go. Oh, Glenn Harris got clobbered when Knopfsker came back down the track, so he did go upside down, did the Krispy Kreme Chevrolet. Ironically enough, as I look at all the drivers collected up in this one, I believe the only playoff driver that was in it was the driver that's already locked into the Final Four, and that's Chuck McClure. I believe all of the other 7 playoff drivers were either in front of it or were able to make their way through it. Here's a look at the Glenn Harris barrel roll. Harris gets into Godfrey. There's where Knopfsker comes down and gets him. Wow! Josh Metallic, I think, was the last one to be able to skate through. Tom Dixon as well. Let's do an onboard with the 39 because he probably, by all rights and purposes, should have been involved in this wreck, and somehow the Gray Ghost got through. Here's on board with the Napa number 39. Woohoo! Right up ahead, Brian Schilling there in the 4 as well, playoff contender. Able to get through unscathed. So the playoff scenarios remain open for all the remaining 7 playoff contenders still trying to find their way into the Final Four.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely crazy. Just how one little mishap in the front of the field can take out a lot of good cars. Actually, and so far, the only car out of the race is the 43 himself.
Correct. Richard Martin, unfortunately, is going to suffer a 28th place finish here tonight. That wreck started when he was running in the 3rd position.
Now, Seth...
And I believe... go ahead.
Nope, you first.
I was just going to say, I believe JT Mayhew was not involved, so he's going to be back in the lead lap now. He'll get the free pass under this caution.
Yeah, I think he was hanging around at the front. But, Seth, so I interrupted you when you were talking about it, so go ahead and finish what you were talking about with Tune Into Tarnation TV.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, April 30th, Saturday evening.
April 30th, or was it 13th?
13th. Wow. Whoa. Boy, you gave me the opportunity, and I blow it. April 13th, tune into Tarnation TV for the 2024 Team Elmo 200 benefiting ALS. I had the opportunity to take part as a racer last season. This season, going to be a pleasure to join Blaine Donlin and Rod Weston up in the booth to be able to call that event. A lot of the drivers you see in the field here tonight going to be taking part in that race. Should be a good one. Be sure to tune in.
Also want to shout out to and say to tune into Johto Network on April the 20th for a special event at the Talladega. Oh gosh, I'm losing it here. Talladega RTG is what I'm trying to say. Talladega
Not
RTG
you two.
special
Only
event.
one of us can lose it at a time.
It's Talladega RTG, a nice little special event going on there called the Spring All-Star Race. Open to anybody wanting invitation open. There is a Facebook group called the NNSCRA Online Special Event page. Just sign up there. Everything you need to know is in that group.
You forgot to mention the fact that I'm going to be winning that race.
Say that, but I'm going to be participating in it too, so.
You're not a threat.
Yeah, I'll start having fun.
Oh, no. Okay, you're definitely a threat now. Oh, we got ourselves another nickname here, Michael.
Oh, do we?
Sandra Sullins in our YouTube chat. Appreciate you letting us know. Rodney Sullins' nickname is Hammer. So if he ends up winning the race, I think we could say he's dropped the hammer on the competition.
Yeah, I think we could. Much as I hate you for that comment, yes, it's very true.
Do you hate me for the comment or hate that I came up with it first?
I hate you because it's a very terrible joke that is absolutely true.
Okay. That's fair enough. Tom Dixon. Batman Mobile is going to be like
one bad joke of broadcast.
I've used up my allotment for the night.
Yes, you have.
Okay, well, Tom Dixon in that 45, he's going to be the one
No, he won, man.
He's going to be leading us back to green. Grant Wesley now will be on the outside of the front row with Rodney Sullins, Terry Bombard, and Wiley Coates. That's going to be the top 5 as we get ready to go back racing. Here this evening at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway as the sun went down, the dark night rises, and here we go.
I hate you. You were waiting for the green flag to drop, weren't you?
I was. Whoa, Tom did not get going. Oh, we're wrecking in the back. John Van Gorder around.
That was a product of, I believe, the 143 as the caution comes back out again, and JT Mayhew spins it to the inside.
Just after getting the lucky dog that puts him back on the lead lap.
Well, I guess he was lucky. He just got the lucky dog then.
Oh, he got it beforehand.
That's what I'm saying. I'm guessing he's lucky he got the lucky dog.
Oh, true, yeah, because he wouldn't have been able to get the lucky dog being involved here.
Someone says think Despirito needs a nickname now.
I agree. I mean, back in the day when they ended up having, where these drivers were able to qualify, Joe Despirito usually would qualify up on the front row, so we could have called him Front Row Joe, but we can't do that now because of the random qualifying draw. Grant Wesley leads us back here to the yellow. Third caution of the night. Past a third of the way through this race, so we'd be looking at, well, Grant Wesley threw in the clutch right there. We might be looking at a one stop here after this next restart. About the furthest they could go right now be around lap 44, 45. That'd put them about 21, 22 laps shy. Yeah, we might be in that ballpark.
Ulysses in his hit. If we can't forget about Ulysses' nickname.
Yep, that one I knew. Ulysses Poppy Sandoval. All right, now Ulysses running in that fifth position.
Paying attention to our chat when he should be paying attention to the race.
He's multitasking.
Where's he at?
Fifth position.
Look at him. Look at him up here in fifth position, just paying attention to our chat over here.
Who was it? I'm trying to
Ulysses,
remember.
Ulysses, if you don't finish fifth in at least top five in this race, you're not invited to my special event. I'm
Whoa!
kidding. I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
He's
Maybe I'm not, but no, I'm seriously
he's
kidding.
not kidding. Here's a look at what brought out the caution. Looked like they stacked up on that outside line there. I wonder if somebody missed a shift. I thought could be a byproduct of Tom Dixon maybe not going on that initial green flag. We saw the big jump Grant Wesley was able to get, but it was actually on the outside line where the stack up occurred. Let's focus on the 19, see if we can dissect what occurred here. He's behind John Godfrey. Bernie Mobbs is behind him. I think he missed a shift.
Very possible.
See if the helicopter cam will tell us anything, because you saw the 39 of Josh Metallic dart out as if somebody ahead of him was having a problem. Here's a look at it, and Bernie Mobbs is on his back bumper. Oh, nope. They checked up. Bernie Mobbs was shoving the 19. He got that big run onto the back of Godfrey. Was trying to lift and got turned by the 31. And then let's see what happens to JT Mayhew here. Going for that little loop in the grass. I blame you for his spin because you cracked open a can of his sponsor. Oh. It just looped around when he downshifted. Didn't hit anything, though, so he's good to go. And he will continue on. So, a couple of hits there for the 19 and the 143. Most everybody else, though, looks like they are okay. And Tom Dixon will continue to stay out here as a bunch of drivers head for pit road. Mark Paglia looks like he's currently going to be in second. Brian Schilling in third. And Chuck McClure in fourth.
Oh, Milt Surratt put in his nickname in the chat too.
Slot Racer. You remember those
Nope.
penny slot cars?
No, I'm sorry, Seth. I'm not as old as you.
Yeah, they were like little race cars that I guess the battery in them or something ran on copper. So if you took a penny and you put it into the back of the car, they would actually run because the penny, I don't know what kind of like electric energy or whatever it was, it would actually charge them up.
Do you remember those little? I don't want to say not slot races, but you remember those little charger races? Gosh, I used to have a track when I was a kid. It was bank turns. It said Daytona on them. Had a little pit road that you would go in and hold a charge down. They would connect to like a little battery or something in the back. You hold it down and you let them go out, and they would just go around the track by themselves like really fast. It was definitely in the late '90s when I had that, but I'm not sure if you ever remember that. But those are some fun times.
I think I did. Was it? I can't remember. Was it a Hot Wheels product or something?
Kind of like a Hot Wheels thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a big black racetrack that you can set up, almost like Coca-Cola Speedway or iRacing.
Yeah, and it had like, I think it had like 3 or 4 grooves to it or something, so you could do it with multiple cars.
Yeah, and you have a little thing you pop up that once the car starts slowing down and put them in pit road, recharge them up, and zoom, they're out.
Yep, I do remember what you're talking about. I can't recall what the name of it was though. I could kind of picture. I can almost picture the box.
It had to been Daytona something. I feel like because it was the Daytona sponsored like little pit road area.
Was it just like Daytona Racers or something?
I don't remember. This is gonna bug me now.
Looking it up to see if I can find it. SCX. Oh no, wait. Maybe this was. No, that wasn't it because I had that. SCX Daytona slot car track set. I don't know. Oh, we're working our third caution of the night. We should get the one to green this time by, and indeed we do. So Tom Dixon will be getting us back underway. We're nearing the halfway point, so let's give you a look at your current lap leaders on the night. Grant Wesley has had the most laps out in front, 16 in total. Tom Dixon has led 5 laps now. 2 laps led for Rodney Sullins, and then 1 lap led each for Bob Seminara, Bob Dixon, Brian Schilling, and Jeremy Jeffries. Interesting to note that 5 of the playoff contenders on this list here have been out in front for at least a lap. The only drivers that have not led so far tonight, Chuck McClure, who's already locked into the Final Four, Joe DeSpirito, who came in second in point standings, but the highest of those not yet locked in, and Kelly Causey, who came into this race 19 points below the cut line. And all 7 of our remaining playoff drivers that are not yet locked into the season finales, they are still, as far as we know, up to speed. Chuck McClure in the 17, it looked like he may have gotten through relatively unscathed, despite being right in the middle of that big wreck that brought out the second caution. But again, he's already locked into the Final Four, so he could have put it in the garage area already and still know that he would be battling for the championship next week and the following week, which, if you're not familiar with the way that the championship is decided now, for the last couple of seasons, it's a dual finale. We go to Talladega, come back here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. The most points accumulated between the final 4 is the driver that wins the championship, and last season, despite the fact it wasn't a one-and-done finale, we ended up having it come down to 1 point for the championship, with Richard Martin able to claim the season 60 championship trophy. Here we go, green flag back in the air. Looks like a little bit more organized restart here. And Grant Wesley again on that outside line, going to clear around the outside of Tom Dixon, and he'll go back to the point. Now, a number of drivers did take some pretty big hits in that wreck over here into turn 3. We'll have to wait until they all get up to full song to know the extent of who is up to speed and who may have that dreaded aero damage and may be kind of riding around at the back of the pack for most of the rest of the night.
The lane kind of coming out here, and look who's on that outside lane, Seth.
Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara, a couple of teammates there working together. Wesley sees him coming. He'll jump up to the middle line to cover. Tom Dixon holding tough down there on the bottom. Rodney Sullins drafting him. Ooh, Dixon, little low there out of 2. That's going to scrub off some speed for that inside line. Going to hurt them on the straightaway. Third lane forming. Josh Metallic up there, along with Jason Scheck and Brian Schilling. And now we'll get an idea of really which lane is the
Dominant
preferred
one.
line. Yeah, because we've not really seen them fan out like this. Oh, Grant's going to get shuffled out. That's the second time that's happened to him here tonight. Nobody wants to work with the 88. Rodney Sullins shuffled him out earlier on, and now DeSpirito does the same.
Oh, now he's going to be in the middle.
No help for Grant. Looks like he's got a teammate coming up there in Jeremy Jeffries, looking to pick him up.
He's dropping like a rock here. Just the difference. Everyone is running 199. He was only running maybe 193 right there. That shows you the speed difference.
Yeah, here tonight, for everybody not named Chuck McClure that's a playoff contender, your goal here this evening is to do one of 2 things. Number 1, position yourself where you're going to be able to either win or point your way into the Final Four. But number 2, maybe try and manipulate it where some of your competition does not make it into the Final Four. Grant Wesley, we documented 3 championship victories in 4 seasons. Obviously, always a threat for that trophy whenever he advances into the Final Four. So for DeSpirito there, yeah, he certainly wants to get to the front. He wants to get himself into the Final Four, but at the same time, if he can have the 88 drop all the way back there and not have to deal with him in the next 2 weeks, that's a little bit of a load off the mind.
Agreed.
Bob Seminara right now in that second position. Wiley Coate there in third. And he's about to have some company to his right rear. Rodney Sullins up to the top side. Sullins was a 3-time winner last season. 2 of his victories right here at this racetrack. Rodney Sullins looking to advance into the Final Four for the 3rd time in his Talladega Challenge career. He was 3 points below the cut line, which was Brian Schilling. Schilling right now is 4th on that outside line, and looks like Chuck McClure in that 17 indeed is up to speed. He's 5th on the outside line. Grant Wesley has found his way up to the top side as well, and now Seminara gets shuffled out.
Yep, leave that 712 on the outside, or in the middle lane, excuse me.
He's in the proverbial sucker hole. Let's look at this. Maybe Rodney Sullins going to lead this lap over Joe DeSpirito. Going to be close out of the tri-oval, and scoring says...
DeSpirito.
Yep, barely. Interesting to see what the interval was there when scoring updates between the 24 and the 38. 8/1000ths of a second is what it said the interval was last time by. An update on another driver that's out of the race, Glenn Harris, who we saw one of several drivers that was tumbling through the grass over in 3 and 4 in that big one that brought out the second caution. He about 2 laps ago brought his Chevrolet to pit lane and made the left-hand turn to the garage. That's where he'll join Richard Martin. 26 drivers still running, and all 26 currently on the lead lap, though we do have quite a few that are off the pace. John Van Gorder and Graham McDonald, their 2-car tandeming quite a ways back behind this field by nearly 13 seconds, and Tim Nofsker way off the pace as well. As a matter of fact, he's about 20 seconds away from being put a lap down, and correction on that, he's actually now come to pit road and has retired from the race. So Nofsker will finish in 26th tonight, Glenn Harris 27th, and Richard Martin 28th. Currently 3 drivers out of tonight's event. Jason Scheck now leading the 3rd line. The French's mustard, number 71. Big run on that top side with help from Brian Schilling.
Wow, look at me. Here we go. About six rows deep.
Oh boy, this is where, as a driver, you're probably comfortable, but as a commentator, you are nervous for every driver in that formation. 5 rows deep, stacked 3 by 3 by 3, all the way back to around the 16th position. DeSpirito leading the bottom, Sullins leading the middle, and the Buick of Scheck on the top side. Now it all comes down to who's got the better organized lane, who's got the better pushers. Inside line gets the preferred entry into the corner, but the middle and outside line get the better runs off and onto the straightaway. Now it looks like that 3rd line's losing a little bit of momentum. Let's see if they can get it back here down the backstretch. Looks like that middle line's prevailing right now. Rodney Sullins clear of the outside, now clear of the inside with help from Josh Metallic. He's got options now if he wanted to move low or move high, but it looks like he's staying committed to the middle.
I think hit the wall.
I think you're right. Yep, I just saw that too, just past the start-finish line.
That middle lane set, we talked about that being the preferred. And look who's working his way back up using that middle lane. That's that number 88.
And why this is interesting, too, because we talked about last week how that middle line seemed to prevail, and a lot of drivers were perplexed by that. That 3 wide that Jason Scheck was making should have, from what we are used to seeing here at this racetrack, it should have drawn that middle line back and given the advantage to Despirito on the bottom, but it did not. Tom Dixon, he's coming to pit road. Remember, he stayed out under the last 2 cautions, so he is off sequence from everybody else.
Pit stop sets. We didn't even talk about that. Green flag pit stops.
Think more than likely
A couple laps from now. Especially if Tom Dixon's coming down.
Yeah, well, remember, Dixon stayed out under the last 2 yellows. So he would be a lot shorter on field than everybody else. I think when we went back green, I think these drivers, they can go about another 6 to 7 laps before we would see them on pit lane. Of course, the target lap that these drivers would like to get to, if they possibly can, would be somewhere around lap 47. Because that would put them about 19 laps shy of the finish, which is the average we know these drivers are usually able to go on 2 cans of fuel.
Single file out, Seth. They're getting single filed. Can you imagine pitting from the middle lane?
Some drivers do. If you've got like this formation up here and everybody in this group knows that they're all pitting, some drivers would pit from that second lane to be able to have the wider entry into pit road, allowing other drivers to be able to duck down to the inside of them. I think maybe the driver that I've seen pit the lowest out of anybody in the field here in this series would have to be Tim Nofsker, and sometimes it works out. Sometimes we've seen him hit that inside wall at the entrance of pit road. Double file back around the, looks like 11th position. Ken Roberts, Jason Scheck. But to your point about the top 10, all single filed out. Couple of sleepers up here. Wiley Coates been strong all night long. He's currently in the 6th position. Right behind him, you got Terry Bombard. Keep harkening back to it, but it was certainly a finish that had us on the edge of our seats when he almost pulled off the fuel strategy victory earlier on this season at Talladega. John Godfrey right behind him there as well in the 7-11. Godfrey's had a struggling year, 22nd in points.
Oh, 92 got a little sideways there.
And then Ulysses Sandoval. Whoa, McClure back there. I don't know if he was just making a move on Seminara or what. But Ulysses Sandoval in that number 96 Subway machine. This is only his, I believe, 2nd start on the season. And how would it be for him if he were able to pull off the victory here tonight?
If he doesn't finish top 5, he's not invited. Just kidding.
I'm trying to remember back. At least the most recent driver to pick up a victory in their close to first start of their career, and I think it was Keith Hughes. This was about 4 or 5 seasons ago. He ended up going to victory lane, and I think it was only his 2nd or 3rd start of his career. He actually was a multiple-time winner that season. I'm sure it's been done by other drivers here in this series. That's just the most recent one that I can recall of a driver winning very early on in their Tally Challenge career. We're watching up here at the front, but I've been keeping an eye at the back here around the Bob Seminara, Chuck McClure cars because they were not giving each other a whole lot of room off of turn 4 that last time. Seminara now diving to the inside of Cy Jones.
Ooh, they made their move to the inside of the racetrack.
Man, this is tight back here. Seminara fighting for everything he can. He came into this race 8th of the remaining 8 playoff contenders points-wise. Brian Schilling's back here, the cut line driver in the 4 car. Don't think this is necessarily a good spot for him at the moment, but we'd have to wait and see how things shake out if we indeed end up having that pit stop be under green flag conditions. Kelly Causey's also back here in the 00. 7th of the 8 playoff contenders coming into tonight. Kelly's going to make his way now up to the top behind Mark Paglia, so it looks like he would be planning to come to pit road maybe a lap after everybody else. Talked about Rodney Sullins having 2 victories here at this racetrack last season. A number of seasons ago, Jeremy Jeffries ended up picking up 3 straight victories here at this venue. Yeah, we had the alternating between this track and Talladega, but in 3 straight trips to this racetrack, he ended up picking up 3 straight checkered flags. And Jeffries came into this race 3rd in the playoff standings, but only 1 point to the good above the cutoff line, and only 5 points above the first driver out, Rodney Sullins, who is out in front leading this race. So Jeremy Jeffries, he's got to keep an eye on where that 38 car is at all times.
Coming to pit road.
Is that Cy Jones back there, I think?
Yep, the 7 of Cy Jones, which means it's not going to be long before we see these cars come down pit road, Seth. And we're at 20 to go right now.
We say it all season long.
It's 21 to go. Sorry, my bad. It's 21 to go.
We call it all season long the money stop. This is the
Mega $1 Million money.
There you
stop.
go. Thank you. I was gonna say the jackpot, but that didn't seem like it was good. This is the Mega Million pit stop right here. If you're gonna make it into the final 4.
This is the Jackbox pit stop. Everybody
the Jackbox.
Go to Jackbox right now. You can perform the pit stop on your favorite driver.
This is the Quiplash pit stop.
Oh, here they come.
Sullins is in. DeSpirito's in. Godfrey, Sandoval, Farrell, and Seminara.
Wow, these guys are really sending it down in there.
You gotta be careful. These guys know how to hot pit, but even the best at hot pitting can make mistakes.
Your name is Joshua Mercurio.
That's true. Actually, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not taking a side in this argument. That's between you and him. He can hot pit if you're his brakes.
Yeah, for real. Waiting for the time I get the hot pit behind him and repay the favor. So
those drivers that just came to pit road right when the window opened to make it the rest of the way. They'd be right on the border as...
The 1 car moved high. He must not be pitting this time.
Must not.
Never mind.
Oh, no, I guess he is. Oh, and look out, they're all having to split the 33 of Graham McDonald, who was coming to pit road. Ooh, that's tight. Shilling off into the grass.
Let's hope that doesn't affect his pit stop at all.
Yeah. I believe everybody else that was left came to pit road this time. Jason Scheck, I think, might have run out of fuel. Either that or he was clutching hard to make sure he got to pit road because he was very slow.
This 88 car right here. He's got the first pit stop, but at a super speedway on the green, that's not the best pit stop to have. It takes so long to launch out of your pit stall and get up to speed.
Yep, you don't have that momentum.
I mean, look at him. Tailpipes, he's hitting it. You see, if this was under caution, that'd have been perfect. He would have won the race off pit road right there.
Grant's going to come out 3rd, looks like, of this group.
They're going to give him a bit of a shove there.
Rodney
Sullins. Getting up to speed on the banking, when they come up, it just doesn't look like they're going that fast.
Rodney Sullins and Joe DeSpirito, they're tandeming there, up to speed, trying to get back up to the front. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it.
Boom, 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 boom.
Rodney Sullins putting the hammer down. There you go. There's a nickname pun. And he's going to drive to the inside of Grant Wesley. Now watch right here. Let's see if they've got enough momentum to bypass these 4. Metallic, he's going to shade low, so we're going to have it 3x3, and Sullins does clear. And he'll stay to the bottom with Joe DeSpirito.
And just as you say that...
Well, and now moves up. We did have some penalties here with pitting. Terry Bombard and Brian Rawson, the 10 and the 6, have been issued speeding penalties. Terry Bombard would have been up in this lead pack. There you see him, the bright yellow and purple Camel Ford He'll be coming back down pit road here.
Oh,
Oh, Rodney
Sullivan's
Sullivan's going
moved up to
way
the
up the
outside.
track here. Is he purposely dropping back to save fuel? Because remember, he was out in front for most of that last run.
Somebody else coming down pit road.
I think Joe's dropping back too. I think these two aren't exactly certain if they can make it on fuel or not, and they don't want to be up at the front. So now Jeremy Jeffries will inherit the race lead. Jeremy had previously been out in front under caution, so he already had the bonus point locked up for a lap led. Chuck McClure right behind him there in the 17. Then Grant Wesley in third. Remember we talked with Chuck last week, and I asked him, well, now that you're locked into the Final Four, what do you do when you come here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway? Do you experiment? Do you kind of put yourself in scenarios as if this is the championship finale race when we come back here in 2 weeks' time? And he said, no, one of my main goals is to try and see if I can help out some of my teammates that are in this round of 8, help them advance into the Final Four as well. It looks like he's the wingman for the one car right now.
See if he can keep that 88 behind him, but I don't know. Getting close, getting down to it.
We've got 10 cars up in this lead pack, and counting Chuck McClure, it looks like we've got 7 of our 8 playoff drivers in this lead pack. The one that's missing is Bob Seminara, who is currently back in the 11th position, 5 seconds behind the leaders. Currently here in this pack with John Godfrey and Ulysses Sandoval, Seminara is going to absolutely need to have a yellow flag to be able to advance into the Final Four. He was the furthest in points of the drivers in the round of 8, leaving Talladega a total of 23 points below the cut line. Wasn't mathematically in a must-win situation, but certainly had to finish up inside of the top 5 to garner enough points to be able to advance, and right now, he's in trouble. And no, I'm not going to try and do calculations in my head to figure out who's in and who's out.
Calculations in my head.
Because Jeffrey's out in front right now, so if he finishes there, we know he's locked in. But Brian Schilling and Rodney Sullins, they were separated by 3 points. And Sullins did not surpass Grant Wesley for most laps led. So those two have the bonus point for a lap led that cancels out. Sullins would have to finish, looks like 4 positions ahead of Brian Schilling to advance. DeSpirito looks like he's in good shape up in this lead group, and Schilling is right now running in 5th. For the non-playoff drivers up here that are just trying to end out the season with a checkered flag, you got Mark Paglia in the 28, Josh Metallic in the 39, and Wiley Coate in the 5. Metallic and Paglia, they were in the playoffs. Both got eliminated after the first round. And Wiley Coate is 18th in points coming into tonight's elimination race. Also, looking like Jeremy Jeffries may be facing off against Rodney Sullins in the bracket challenge. Sullins currently at the tail end of this pack in 9th. Bobby Farrell, who is going up against him, is currently back in the 21st position. As a matter of fact, he's only a couple of laps away from maybe being put a lap down. He's in a pack of about 3, and they were only running about 10 seconds ahead of the lead pack.
Coming up on, we're just above 10 laps to go right now. Coming actually to, I believe it's going to be 12 laps to go this time by.
Appreciate everybody tuning into our coverage here tonight on FRN. Reminder for you folks that tune in on Friday nights for the Upper Edge Racing Body Shop Super Speedway Series. They are off this week. They will be back next week for the championship finale at iRacing Super Speedway. And we will be back here on Thursday night when our Final Four, which will be made official at the end of this evening, will begin their first of 2 races in the final round for the Season 61 RTG Talladega Challenge Series Championship. Chuck McClure's already locked in. The other 3 drivers hang in the balance. Jeremy Jeffries right now in position to be one of them. Looks like maybe DeSpirito and Schilling also would preserve their spots above the cut line with where they are currently scored. Grant Wesley, Rodney Sullins, and Kelly Causey in this group, though, looking to spoil the party with a win. "25 drivers still running, currently 22 on the lead lap. 3 drivers out of the race after we've had 3 yellow flags here this evening. Biggest wreck, the second caution of the night. Big one that involved over a dozen drivers over in 3 and 4. While it may not necessarily look like it here to the observer, these drivers, they have been flying around this racetrack here tonight. Mark Paglia running it in 4th place. Fastest lap on the evening at a 47.662. That translates to 200 miles per hour plus.
Single file.
How long do you wait? Point of no return with lap cars now we know is going to be 62, lap 62. Do you wait till then, or are you waiting until the last lap?
If you're further in the back, you're going to be making the moves a little bit earlier. You never know what's going to happen here up at the front. You know, it's like Darrell Waltrip said, you can't pull up and pass in most of these cars without help. So when you're running single file.
Mark Paglia in that 28. I noticed him. It looked like he lifted a little bit there through the tri-oval. Might be trying to build a gap between himself and Wesley to be able to generate a run. Now it looks like he's pulling right back up to the bumper of the 88 car, so he might have had just a little issue through the tri-oval, but that's something to keep an eye on, see if drivers kind of back off a little. Josh Metallic and Wiley Coate, they've been trying to make some moves back there, see if anybody will go with them. They've been unsuccessful so far. Bob Seminara still holding down the 11th position. Still needing that caution to come out. And the window is closing of when a caution would aid him to be able to catch back up and be able to have another restart. These drivers up here going to be minding their P's and Q's, and it's always tough when it comes to super speedway racing if you're a driver in this kind of a scenario trying to either win or point your way into not only just the Final Four, but if you're trying to point your way into the round of 8 or even point your way or win your way into the playoffs themselves in the regular season finale is the risk-reward. You want to go all out to be able to get that victory, but at the same time, if you slip up, if the driver you're trying to pass makes a block and you're involved in a wreck, what could have been a very decent second or third place finish all of a sudden could turn into a finish outside of the top 10 or top 15, and it's a net loss of positions and points rather than a kind of what might have been that could have been a safety net for you to be able to advance into whatever the scenario is that you were looking for as your goal. So I think for Chuck McClure, I don't think we're going to see him make a move on Jeremy Jeffries. I think he's going to be staying committed to that one car, but it's from Grant Wesley on back that the question mark arises, and Grant's going to have to do something, because as I'm looking at the point standings right now, he's not safe. A third place will not get him into the Final Four. He's got to get up there and win this thing with the drivers that are currently up in this lead pack with Sullins and Schilling and Jeffries and DeSpirito. He's not making up enough points on them with just finishing in third place. But if he makes a move, does anybody go with him? We saw earlier on in this race a couple of times drivers shuffled him to the middle and sent him to the back. Kelly Causey up there on that outside line trying to make something happen. He's got Metallic and Wiley Coate with him. Rodney Sullins in the 38. He's got to get up there to the 4 car. If Jeremy Jeffries wins he was above the cut line, so he would still be looking around the cut line for who was going to get the pretty much the fourth and final position into the championship battle. This is kind of similar to what Kelly Causey did 2 weeks ago in that must-win scenario to advance into the round of 8. He was at the tail end of the lead pack and got some friends up on that top side, charged his way up to the front. Now Brian Schilling moves up there. Here we go. Grant moves up, moves back down. Causey takes it 3 wide with Paglia and Schilling. McClure moves down to block Wesley. Oh, boy.
Keeping an eye on this. Getting pretty good now. Third lane. There he goes.
A lot of blocking, a lot of moves. 3 wide again. 2 rows deep. McClure has gone to the point. Causey now into second place. Could Chuck McClure go back-to-back here in this round of 8?
And out of all of that, Grant Wesley, unfortunately, is going to fall to the back of this pack.
And Jeremy Jeffries is going to drop back to at least 5th, maybe 6th after being the leader. Now Kelly Causey, what can he do?
Will those lap cars up in the front be a factor?
They'll certainly be caught before this race is over if we don't see a yellow. Ooh, Causey stays up top. Sullins, I wasn't sure if he was shading low or not, but he does. Jeffries charging back again, wants that lead back. He's got Brian Schilling helping him. If he gets enough of a run, does he take it up 3 wide?
And we still got 3 laps of racing to go.
Chuck McClure's locked into the round of 4. He's got the luxury of being aggressive here to try and pick up yet another victory on the season. Oh, contact! They saved it! Wow! Paglia and Metallic got together. The 28 was slideways. Somehow kept it going. We remained green. Wiley Coates going to pay the price for that. Look at the 4-car tandem into 3. McClure, Causey, Jeffries, and Schilling.
Gonna be down to who's gonna make the run here, Seth. Coming to 2 laps to go this time by.
Going to be 2 laps remaining. Usual disclaimer, we stay up here at the front if the caution comes out. We watch the race back to what will be the proverbial checkers. It may be the actual checkers if they can make it another 2.66 miles without incident. Jeffries now to the inside of Causey.
Ooh, that might not have been good for McClure to block them.
Causey had the help up on the top with Schilling and Sullins. And now Jeffries is going to fall back. Causey needs to win. He does to the inside. Looking for back-to-back victories here and maybe potentially must-win scenarios is the 00. Now they're pretty even. 4 and 4, now 4 and 5 on that top. Push is about to come to shove. Here we go.
Took it under green. No matter what, it's race back.
Causey, I think, is clear. He's going to have a choice to make here off of 2. He'll go to the top.
Yep, he knows the outside lane is going to be the run, but the 17 probably will not stay there.
He's going to go up top 3 wide. Causey's going to get stuck in the middle. Here comes Jeffries on the bottom. Sullins in the middle trying to get there to help Kelly Causey. Jeremy Jeffries is clear now for the top spot. The 1 goes back to P1 with Josh Metallic helping him. Out of 4. Metallic moves up to the top. He'll get to the right rear. Does he have the help?
Nope.
He will not have the help. Despirito to the inside. Jeremy Jeffries is going to pick up the victory. He would have been locked in on points had he at least finished in the podium, but now he's going to lock himself into the round of 4 with a victory, picking up the checkered flag here tonight. We know McClure's locked in. We now know that Jeffries is locked in. The question now remains, who are the final 2? Joe Despirito is going to finish second. He's locked in on points. And if my math is correct, I believe by 1 point, it's going to be Brian Schilling taking the final position in the championship 4 over Rodney Sullins.
Yeah, but how correct is your math, though, honestly?
I'm 99% right 50% of the time.
Exactly. My point. And Seth, as always, I give you questions tonight.
Jeremy Jeffries getting ready to burn it down here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. I mentioned about that winning streak he had here a few seasons ago. 3 straight victories. He got shuffled out. He looked like the car to beat. But he got shuffled out late and never gave up, was able to work his way back up through the field, got to the point in the closing stages, and secures the spot into the Final Four with the victory. We are now 4 for 4 here this season with a playoff driver winning the playoff race as he pulls into his pit box to celebrate with his crew. They'll eventually be following him to victory lane. And let's take a look at the finishing results from this one. 7 of our playoff contenders finished up inside of the top 9, which made things super close in terms of points-wise who was going to advance in and who was going to be eliminated. Despirito in second, Metallic in third. We'll be talking with our top 3 here in a moment. Grant Wesley not going to be able to advance into the Final Four as he'll be fourth. Kelly Causey was in an almost must-win situation there. He almost pulled it off for the second straight time at this venue. He will get fifth. Chuck McClure, who was already locked in, he's going to be sixth. Rodney Sullins is going to come up, as I believe it is 1 point shy of Brian Schilling, gets seventh. Schilling finishes 2 spots behind him in ninth, and a great run for Wiley Cope between them there in 8th place. Mark Paglia was the last driver in that lead pack, and he brings it home in the 10th position. Ulysses Sandoval, he'll get 11th, so I guess he's not racing in Michael's special events. Ken Roberts in 12th. JT Mayhew, after being 2 laps down the early going, got the lucky dog a couple of times, got back in the lead lap. Good comeback in 13th. Terry Bombard and Brian Rawson, who both ended up getting issued speeding penalties on that final green flag pit stop. They battled back for 14th and 15th. Bob Seminara, back-to-back tough weeks for him here in this round of 8. He'll finish in 16th place. Bobby Farrell, John Godfrey, Bob Dixon, and Bernie Mobbs were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Graham McDonald in his first start of the season, 21st. Cy Jones, 22nd. Then John Van Gorder and Tom Dixon 2 laps down each in 23rd and 24th. 4 drivers did not reach the conclusion. Jason Scheck, Tim Nofsker, Glenn Harris, and Richard Martin. Well, as we head now into our FRN post-race wind-down, reminder, we will be having the official Final Four announcement at the conclusion of our post-race interviews. The admins at RTG do a great job of getting that information all calculated up for us to be able to give you the announcements when we are in these type of scenarios, whether it's who's in the playoffs or who's advancing into the next round. We know for absolute certain 2 drivers confirmed or locked in, that being McClure and Jeremy Jeffries. Joe DeSpirito, I think, mathematically is locked in, but we will wait to see if indeed Brian Schilling is that 4th and final driver. But let's see if we could talk to the drivers that brought it home in 1st through 3rd. How about we talk about the driver that about 5 laps to go was at the very tail end of the group and was able to make his way up there into the conversation for this checkered flag. Let's dial up Josh Metallic.
User was moved.
Hey, Josh, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Got a copy.
Great run for you here tonight. Execution on that final pit stop had you up in that lead pack in the closing stages, and man, made that move off of turn 4. If you'd had somebody with you, did you have the momentum? Did you have the run to be able to put this 39 in victory lane?
Yeah, I had a shot, and that's all you can ask for. I think it was Jeremy, then myself, and I think maybe Joe behind me got cleared, and there were some guys up on the high side. So I jumped up thinking maybe someone didn't want Jeremy to win. And, there's a bunch of chase guys up there. So I thought if I can make a move, maybe they'll push me instead of him. But it didn't work that way. So it was a heck of a finish, though. I mean, it got kind of bland there for a while, single file, just saving fuel. Then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose and everyone's racing. So it's a fun finish.
Yeah, interesting scenario there with that final lead pack as well. 7 of the playoff contenders up there. Yourself, Wiley Coate, and I believe it was Paglia were the non-playoff drivers that were in that group. So, obviously a victory previously this season, would have loved to have gone back to victory as a multi-time winner, but how difficult was it as a non-playoff driver in that scenario with all those playoff contenders in that lead pack?
Well, yeah, it's tough because you don't know who's going to help who because you don't know where they're at points wise, and I kind of looked at it. I've got less to lose than they do, so I was being a little more aggressive, and wherever there was momentum, I just went that way, that lane. So I was making friends and then dumping them lap after laps, and then people are doing it to each other. So it was just a lot of fun, but yeah, I wasn't going to do anything, wasn't going to do anything stupid to wreck them or ruin anything, but definitely going to try to steal one from them. Just didn't quite work out.
Now, I want to rewind back quite a ways in this race because we don't have a good hands award driver, but if we did, I think it would go out to you. That big one over in 3 and 4, we went on board
Oh
with
my
your
gosh.
machine, and all of a sudden, from driver's right, here comes Nofsker down to Glenn Harris, and Harris is flipping right in front of you. How did you get through that?
I don't know. I'm actually waiting to go back and watch this specifically to see how I made it through there. I don't know how I got through. I was telling everybody on my whispers. I felt bad. Tim got ruined in that, and I said, "Man, I don't know how I missed you and how I missed the other 15 people in it." So, yeah, short answer is I have no idea. A lot of luck to just miss it somehow, but yeah, I can't wait to go back and watch how I got through that one.
Well, a lot of times when we see drivers up there at the end of the night in the conversation for the checkered flag, we're remiss to remember back incidents like that that allowed them the opportunity to be in those scenarios. So great job keeping it clean all night long, being able to be up there when it counted and almost pulled off that checkered flag, but third place performance for you here tonight. Congratulations. Before we let you go, Josh, we're going to give the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs.
Yeah, well, thanks, Tim and Wiley, my wingmen on Thursdays, helped me run this thing as best we can. Tim had a rough night. Hopefully, his Iowa State Cyclones win tonight in the tournament. He has some good news. Dave Cannon and Sean Prime, the stuff they do behind the scenes is more than people know, and they should know. You and Michael love these broadcasts. Drivers love them. I can't wait to go back and watch them. So appreciate what you guys do and the drivers. The other good hands award, probably more so, was Paglia. I don't know if you saw Mark Paglia's save near the end of the race, but so many good drivers, clean drivers. Such a fun race, fun series. So that's it.
Great run here tonight for Josh Metallic, third place at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. And he'll look to continue this momentum into these final two races of the season, heading into the Championship 4 section of the schedule. Congratulations on the great run here tonight, Josh. Well done, and best of luck here down these final couple of races in season 61.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Josh Metallic
User was moved out of your channel.
led a lap here tonight, so we had that bonus point as well. Brings it home on the podium. One driver that came into this race with a bit of a cushion between himself and that cut line, the regular season champion. We know he's going to advance in on points because he brought it home in the runner-up position. Let's dial up the 24 of Joe DeSpirito.
User was moved
Hey, Joe,
to
Michael
your
and Seth
channel.
up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey guys, I got you.
It's been a while since we've been able to talk with you. Hit a bit of a patch of rough luck here during the middle portion of these playoffs, but hey, that regular season championship panning out for you. A solid round one. Came into this race here tonight about 8 points above the cut line and almost pulled off this victory here tonight. But I got to ask, in the closing stage of this race, which were you more focused on, that checkered flag or preserving your spot in points above that cut line to advance now into the Final Four?
Yeah, I was really just trying to be clean there at the end and stay out of trouble. Uh, yeah, it worked out at the end, finding the right line to get up to second. I was surprised I made it that far up, but there was a couple almost wrecks on the last 2 or 3 laps there, and I was going to get out of the throttle and just ride around. I didn't need to risk not making it to the finals because of a wreck there. But yeah, I caught the draft again and dove low, and Jeremy was there, and I pushed him to the wind, and yeah, it worked out. But I was just trying to be safe.
One of the few playoff drivers that started pretty deep in the field here tonight. I believe you rolled off the grid from the 20th position. I want to go back to the final pit stop of the evening. We saw you in the 38. You came off of pit road. You guys were running to first and second. And it kind of looked like you threw out the parachute there and dropped to the rear end of the pack. Were you guys like close on fuel? Had you pitted like right on the window and were afraid you weren't going to be able to make it? Was that a strategy call there?
Yeah, I pitted and came out thinking I was good, and I'm looking at my fuel, and yeah, it was 1 lap short. So Rodney dove to the back first, and I figured that was a smart idea. So I did the same thing and just rode around, you know, coasting a little bit in the turns, making sure that there was room between me and Rodney and the guy in front of me. And yeah, I had to save fuel a little bit there. And once I knew I was good on fuel, I hit the gas again and started making moves.
Well, you've been really consistent this season. Of course, we documented the entirety of the regular season, your streak of top five finishes, of course, a victory in that as well. Now we're heading into the final four, and it's not a one race and done scenario we've had for the past couple of seasons where it comes down now to the average of 2 races. And last season, unfortunately, you were on the outside of the championship by 1 point. With that in the back of your mind and having that experience, what now are you looking to approach both Talladega and this racetrack at BSR in 2 weeks' time, heading into this championship scenario?
Um, yeah, but going back to what you said a second ago there, yeah, that the top five streak, I was kind of relieved when it was over. It was just, uh, I was thinking about it a lot, but when it was over, I can kind of race normal again. And yeah, you just got to turn it up a little bit now. No more coasting. It's gonna come down to pit stops. Three, three clean pit stops, and usually things work out. So that's what it normally comes down to. And yeah, we'll see, man. We got a lot of big, heavy hitters in the top four here, so we'll see.
Should be interesting. Looking for another championship here in the Tally Challenge is Joe DeSpirito. Joe, congratulations on the great run here tonight, advancing into the Final Four. We're looking forward to seeing what you're able to do here in these final 2 races of the season. Before we let you go, though, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank RTG, Josh, running a good series on Thursday nights. I want to thank you guys at FRN. I want to thank Race LM for sponsoring us this season. I want to thank my teammates at Mobs Motors and my sponsors, Old City Fly Shop, oldcityflyshop.com, Able Reels, and everybody watching at home, my dad, Uncle Travis, LC, Dan, and all my work buddies. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Looking forward to the playoffs, the finals now, championship time.
Absolutely. Advancing into the Final Four with his runner-up finish here tonight is Joe DeSpirito. Congratulations once again. Best of luck here in these upcoming 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
And let's see if we can go
User
down
was
to
moved
victory
out of your
lane and
channel.
dial up tonight's race winner, winning his way into the Final Four. See if we can get a hold of Jeremy Jeffries.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Jeremy,
your
Michael, and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I do. How you guys doing?
Well, I'll tell you what, the never give up mentality here tonight definitely showed for this Vabeling machine. We go back to about 3 or 4 laps to go. You were leading, you get shuffled out back to around 6th, and somehow, some way, were able to cut your way back up through the top 5 to get back to this race lead and eventually the race win. Now, we're up here in the booth. We've got the luxury of being able to look at points, look at positioning, where everybody is on the racetrack. You weren't necessarily in a must-win situation, but you hadn't had a checkered flag here yet this season. So were you laser focused on making sure you were the first one back to this checkered flag?
In my mind, I was in a must-win situation. I mean, I think the people fighting for the top 8 were all there in the top 10. So I mean, you get shuffled out, get shuffled to the back. That could be, the points that you lose there is they're done. So I just felt like I had to win that. If not, I had to at least go up there and try to win it and get max points for where I was at. And nobody really wanted to work with each other because we were all fighting for the points there at the end. So just had to go with who you thought could get you the farthest up. And luckily, Grant saved me when I got hung in the middle there. So I appreciate that. That was a great move, and it might have unfortunately been the move that knocked him out. So I'm really grateful for that. And Joe there at the end pushing me, that was amazing, amazing push there. When Josh went high, I was like, thank God he stayed with me.
Well, had those struggles at the beginning of the season. We saw you end up having a couple of DNFs in, I think it was the first 2 or 3 races of the season. But then when the playoffs began, you have been super, super consistent. No finish outside of the top 6, and you've got this victory now to start off the round of 4. So with this consistent streak, what is the confidence level heading into the final 2 races of the season?
Well, I've made it, so that was go 1. Goal 2 next week is to get a good finish and beat Rodney for the eliminator. And goal 3 is to take it all the way in 2 weeks.
I also got to ask you because I'm sure it was fun for everybody watching, and it was definitely a blast for us up here in the booth watching in the closing stages the drivers not really having any alliances, kind of having to make their own moves, make up their own points. Do you see a scenario like that between yourself and the other 3 championship competitors here in these final 2 races where you kind of have to make your own moves and just hope that there's some other people that are going to be working with you?
Well, we all have people that we work with, and the Mobs Motors guys, and Chuck and Schilling, Tim, and all those guys that work together, and got my XFM teammates that'll hopefully be helping me out. So we'll see how it plays out. But everybody's got help. You just gotta get everybody together. That's the problem, and uh, I think it's just gonna come down who will benefit you the most at the end. It might not be somebody you want to work with, but it's somebody you have to.
Well, first victory on the season, and it's a big one here tonight in the elimination race of the round of 8. You advance into the final 4, and good luck there in the upcoming 2 races at Talladega and back here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. I know that you want to get back to your celebrating, but before you do, we're handing over the microphone to you for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Again, thanks to Grant and to Joe for ultimately helping me get that win, and just you guys for doing this broadcast, Bones and Prime, Josh, Wiley, Tim for putting on the series, Race LM for sponsoring us and giving us the servers and the equipment we need to put on these shows, and friends, family. It's been a blast, and I think that's my first win here since I won 3 in a row a few seasons ago.
Think you would be correct. We documented about that 3 in a row streak you were on here at this racetrack, and this is the racetrack where it's all getting decided for that championship in 2 weeks' time. So, best of luck in that. Congratulations on the victory here tonight. Go and enjoy it.
Thank you, guys.
Jeremy Jeffries, your
User
winner
was
here
moved
tonight.
out of
Another
your
different
channel.
winner on the season and 4th straight playoff driver to go to victory lane in a playoff race. And Michael, I'm looking here at the final 4. It is official.
It
McClure and
is.
Jeffries get locked in on wins. DeSpirito and Schilling get locked in on points. I can't pick a favorite. All 4 of these drivers have been the epitome of consistency here down the home stretch of the regular season and into the playoffs. And with this final round, we know that a win does not win you the championship. It'll help with max points, but it's an average of 2 races who accumulates the most points in 2 weeks' time. I
Which
can't
is
pick a
why
favorite, can you?
No, which is why it's gonna make these last 2 races exciting as heck to watch. I mean, be there, watch it, see who gets the most points, who can make the maximum time out of it.
And I gotta remind everybody as well, if you didn't tune into last season, I know we documented about it during the race, how Richard Martin, the defending champion, won the championship over Joe DeSpirito. DeSpirito had a horrible first race of the round of 4. And he said at the end of the finale, I didn't even know I was even close to winning that championship. I didn't even know that I was 1 point away. I thought that I was done. I was just out there trying to win the race and end the season on a high note. You cannot rely on what happens in the finishing results next week because it could still be that a driver that may not have a very good start to the final 4 races of the championship, he could still mount a comeback in the finale when we come back here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. So it's going to be really interesting, to your point, Michael, to see how it plays out. Obviously, now we have cut the playoff field in half again. So there are now 4 drivers that will be heading into next week, no longer in the playoffs. That's more points on the table for the final 4 contenders. And of course, it will depend as well on what field sizes we have here in these final 2 races as to what kind of points gaps we may end up seeing that drivers will have to either preserve or try to come back from. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we've got 4 really strong contenders. I believe that 3 of them are previous champions. The only one that has not won a championship here in this particular series is Jeremy Jeffries. So I don't know how you could call tonight's race winner an underdog, but statistically, he would, I think, be the underdog because he's looking for his first championship. DeSpirito, McClure, and Schilling, they are looking for yet another championship to add to their trophy collection. So let us all know who you think is going to be able to win this championship here in our comments. And of course, be sure to tune in next week. The Final Four begins at Talladega Superspeedway next Thursday night. Green flag will fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, Michael, we knew it was going to be a nail-biter coming into this one here tonight. It did not disappoint. Can't wait to begin this Final Four, and I appreciate you having me up in the booth here tonight.
Absolutely. It was fun to be here. Can't wait for these final 2 races.
And putting up with my horrible Batman jokes. But thank you, everybody,
Yes.
once again for tuning in tonight. For Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week. The Final Four has begun for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series here on FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.